Dear Dick Posner, you are right. Big talk is a screen for tiny courage. I could talk this through more systematically, rationally, economically, and come out with a far more concise and applicable bit of personal jurisprudence. Foster v. Foster, with Foster J. concurring in part and dissenting in part. But I haven't done that. I won't do that. You are right to point out, with the startling clarity and candor that are your trademarks, this says that I don't really have a coherent argument for what I'm doing. Maybe I'm just an animal responding to fear. I'm running back to a hole in the ground, or unsheathing claws, or turning a virid shade of green on a jungle leaf. This is no affirmative act of mercy, where the powerful reaches out to the weak. This is a kid with an overworked conscience, jetting the fear serum into his heart, his amygdala, into his kidneys for Christ's sake, so that his muscles spasm into a St. Vitus of saintliness. He's not good. He's just scared that he won't be good enough. He's learned to surround that fear with arguments, like the scaffolding huddled about a decrepit church. You are right to what happens when the scaffold. You are right to wonder what happens when the scaffolding unhinges and the little church crumbles. The answer is, I don't know. Maybe a day will come when I will regret this, and a multitude of other choices powered forward on the ruthlessly efficient fuel of moral fear. I will regret all the metaphors and the self-doubt, and I will wish that I had very early on chosen a life with looser fetters, freer intuition, and more fun. That regret would indicate that the scaffolding hadn't really fallen. Regret is a rearview mirror on an ethical vehicle. Regret is latched to ethics, since that something else should have been done. Dear Dick Posner, I love Mardi Gras. The world derives joy from a small handful of things: drums, fire, alcohol, sex, small children, belonging, and the Gras engulfs the city in all of them. It's wonderful to me the way that entire neighborhoods turn out. We dance with abandon and we belong. And then the ashes come and it's all quiet. The streets harbor few traces of the weeks of partying that have just concluded, save the broken garlands of beads snared in the tree branches. The city cycles through two seasons every year, one of risk, the other of rejoicing. Funny enough, we spend all year preparing for the latter, very little time preparing for the former. One wants to think about disaster all the time. Yet, I wonder if Carnival would have the same brilliance and boldness if it weren't rolling through a city that comes face to face with doom every summer. The world as we know it is coming to an end. I might as well dress up like a gold lame squid and strut down Royal with a beer in hand. Going under the knife comes with risks. I could get infected. The surgeon's hand could slip. A sponge could be accidentally sewn up inside me. Years from now, my brother could be in dire need of a kidney just like you. But there is a chance to do something good and joyful and a little reckless right now. And I'm going to grab that chance, go to sleep, and wake up with bright new drops of blood draped across my back like beads caught in a branch. There are some risks you account for. There are some risks you mitigate. And there are some risks you grab hold of like a live wire just to see the sparks jump. I am not a thrill seeker by nature, Dick Posner, but there are times when the web of caution gets so sticky the real risk is finding yourself bloodless and inert. This is one Franco, Catalo, Anglo, Kunas, to whom that just ain't gonna happen. Get your tights and tiara, babe. It's time to hit the streets. Sincerely, Eric. Dear Dick Posner, I was so happy to bring you with me to the Met in Central Park. Did you too feel ennobled and shrunken before the vast panes of glass, cradled in the realization of some architect's dream? I hope you bring those opera eyes to your new home, so that the swirl of complexity, within and without you, is reduced to a handful of bright sensations. A deep red, a shimmering gold, elegant cream, all shot upward into the night on clean lines of steel and glass. I hope you bring the opera eyes that turn flat surfaces into luxuriant corridors of sound and concept and emotion. To have those eyes at all times would be exhausting, but to live with them perpetually shuttered would be too sad an existence to contemplate. Maybe it is dangerous for me to counsel you toward those ecstatic moments. You lead a respectable and not unpleasant life right where you are. Perhaps a brush with synthetic bliss would lead you to rash acts, taking drams of poison, traveling on a whim to meet a lover, smashing up a boudoir. Yours is a life of service, dedication to one deeply nuanced process that few understand or even think about. In a way, Dick Posner, you are the 22nd century man, and I am here trying to drag you back to the 19th. You are hyper-specialized, incredibly efficient, and caught up in a superstructure you can't hope to control. Your equanimity in the face of all this is not just admirable, it may be the only thing that gives you the courage to carry on. Dear Dick Posner, this is one of those times when I imagine the blood scooting through you is just about seltzered with jittery particles. A proper porch sit has just concluded, inside again, as the temperature has yet to top 40, and my fingers are twitching on the keyboard. It is so wonderful to sit across a mug in an old-fashioned, from folks on their way to church, on their way from a breakup, from choreographers, hikers, and researchers. The week is about to split open like a ripe fruit, and I'm going to have juice dribbling down my chin. There's much to be done, but right now talking to you about a coffee buzz seems like the just right thing. Yours, Eric. Dear Dick Posner, we only have a few train trips left together. It's so pleasant to trundle along and watch the fields and industrial parks slide by in reverse. I spend so much time trying to weave and thatch a nest for myself. It's one of those enterprises whose success can leave one feeling almost forgotten, as if this house and community that have been built up are now part of an urban fabric that would exist without you. They project themselves outward without your impetus at a certain point. It's at that same point that one has become familiar with all of the objects that surround one. They are no longer trappings of some design scheme, but appendages of one's own mind. Their weight and balance must be accommodated at all times. The train is a relief from this long-pursued sense of rootedness. I love the feeling of suspension, the wobbly alchemy of presence and absence that the French street signs express so beautifully, not with a slash through it. All this folds together into the shape of another rationale for cutting you out and sending you away. Thinking about you as an expendable element has made me realize that my body, too, is a well-appointed little apartment, hung with Franco-hipster appliances, the boxy glasses, pinstripe, the hipster shirt, the pinstripe pants. The power of design is, like all powers, a means of building one's own prison. Donating you is a way to interrupt the construction. When I send you away, I have the chance to partake in a vicarious train ride without end, rocked back and forth on a route from old satisfactions to a nameless, untouchable city. Dear Dick Posner, loamy mud, beer bottles, root systems underfoot, heading further out into the tepid shallows, F&M's alerted fever dream, the nightmare of coeducation realized. Ivy and plaid and brown, smoking a cigarette in front of Tipitina's. Cocktails served in mason jars at 12 Mile on Bowdoin. Tabasco, bourbon, honey, and citrus. Everyone looks young and soft. The urine test cleared. Only a few more drawings of blood, and I'll be put under. You'll be slid out, and things begin anew. Surreal immersion of worlds. Jess and Bridie driving the little black Honda across the causeway. Most of the other times I have seen them, we've been surrounded by wainscoting and sconces. Let's learn Big Chief and find out more about Hong Kong long hair. It's going to be a hell of a summer. Deja vu, Eric. Dear Dick Posner, hot as blazes on Florida Street until the doors of the courthouse open and conditioned air floods out. We drove in at 8 this morning and parked in a decrepit little lot 3 blocks from the courthouse. We fixed each other's ties and collars, and crammed a $5 bill into the metal slot to pay for the spot. Now the assistant parish attorney is pursuing a fiddlehead line of questioning with Jamie, a recovering addict who lives with her 13-year-old son at the Oxford House on Drusilla Lane. The lining is torn in the back of his suit jacket and hangs a little below the hem. He and Adcock have the same haircut, a boyish sweep of bangs, cropped in the back and around the ears. With all the wood paneling in the courtroom, it feels like we're sitting inside of a giant liquor cabinet, which is ironic, I guess.